purpose, as I understand it, for attachment 3 is that one of the questions that we have been concerning ourselves with this evening is what happens after next year. You know,
Right.
what might the future be?
Because we're obliged for 3 years.
Right, because we'd be
So we
obligated
don't know what
for
year
3
2 and
years.
3 will be.
Exactly, and so
Under
attachment
either
3 is designed to help us
Right.
figure out what it might be under the NIHEP. And so, for instance, at the bottom of attachment 3, we have what I believe are kind of the pooled increases for each year. And that's the increases the cooperative as a whole face. But each individual district, if we join this cooperative, will have a different increase. And as I took it, at least, the top of attachment 3 is designed to give us some samples,
Correct.
you know, of individual districts and what they were facing. I take it from what Ms. Albert is saying that we probably shouldn't put too much stock in that these are exactly the districts most comparable to us, but they're just examples.
But would it not be helpful for year 2 and 3 to look at the mean across all the districts and figure out what the actual increase is?
Well, I think we have that.
And-
I think that's the bottom of attachment 3. We have the overall for the district.
But that's not
or
the
I'm
mean,
sorry,
that's the
not the
high
bottom.
and the low.
The top where it's, the top on the
Pool
left where
average?
it says pool average,
Okay,
there's your mean. And so basically this
okay, that's.
attachment lets us look at the
Okay.
mean if we like it, the highest if we like it, the lowest if we like it,
I see.
or any one of 5 sample districts if we prefer.
Okay, so you think they're on target for the next 2 years beyond?
Well, we would not know under either proposal what direction the rate increases will be. It will depend on our particular claim experience.
Okay.
I think that's a point worth making again. We don't know what the increases will be in years 2 and 3 under either proposal. We do know, and that's where I'm torn, quite frankly. I like the $125,000 savings this year. I realize that there is a little bit of control that we are giving up. The only thing that I can do to sort of rationalize it is if we do see a double-digit increase in year 2, we will already have saved $120,000 this year, and perhaps it would still be a cost savings over the 3-year period.
As Andy and I were talking at the break, that's something that we both said, unfortunately, we can't predict the future for either plan, so.
And the only other story that I'll share is at my firm, we have 17 employees. What we do every year is we have to reevaluate how much our health insurance is. And unfortunately, we wind up changing year after year after year to try to maintain the same level of benefits and at the same time try to control the cost because the costs keep going up so high. And to me, this looks like a way for the district to actually start looking at ways of containing costs and at the same time providing the same type of benefits to our employees.
I also look at this as relatively low risk when you consider what's at stake. Looking at how many people are in this co-op, how many people are covered by the co-op, the insurance that's offered, Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're not really changing things for, you know, our employees. So, and the cost is relatively flat, or better. So I look at this as a good opportunity for us.
You know, what we won't be able to do next year is know what the cost increase would be under the other plan that we
Right.
don't take tonight.
Right, and that's the
never
other
gonna
thing
know
we were
that.
saying at the break.
Can I make one more comment?
Sure.
I just want to point out that the savings in actual healthcare costs by NIHIP next year will be about $58,000. There's an additional $45,000 that comes from no longer retaining the services of HUB. And there's an additional savings that is due to the life insurance costs as well. So we have roughly $6 million worth of claims. And the savings that we stand to benefit from healthcare costs are $53,000. That's less than 1%. So 53,000 is 53,000, but that number swings from year to year in 6-digit increments. So I just you're assuming more risk looking towards the future, or maybe you're not, as I'm seeing it. I just want to make sure everybody's comparing the same numbers. Also, I was a little bit concerned because there's some questions asked about, are these similar districts to us? Our rates are based upon our claims experience, and from year to year, that can change based on a couple of people who have very expensive drugs, or a couple of people who've had catastrophic accidents. So you can never tell, just because we're based in a clump of other K-12 or K-9 districts, K-8 districts, that we're gonna have similar costs from them. Thank you.
Before I turn back to board members, other public comments? Not saying anything. Other board member comments before we make a motion?
I guess one final thing, I think you still have to look at administrative costs as a part of this, and I believe in the new Northern Illinois component, administrative costs will be held further in check than the existing program, thereby observing and facilitating savings. So I think that's a valuable key. Not as good as Medicare, which has a 3% administrative overhead cost, but still, it's not bad, 10%.
Could I respond to that?
Sure.
I'm questioning how you figure that the administration costs for 27 districts or 5,000, whatever the number, how many insured?
50,
More than 5,000.
More than 5,000 is more cost effective than Blue Cross Blue Shield, which insures millions across Illinois. If you're looking at consolidating costs, Blue Cross administering to the millions of customers in Illinois, I think would be a better consolidation
No,
of
that's
costs.
not right. Blue Cross and Blue Shield is in both programs, and they are adjudicating with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So that's not necessarily an accurate statement.
Okay.
They're both dealing with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they're both negotiating with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. It's the individual plans have their own overhead, and the overhead in Northern Illinois is gonna be less than HUD.
It's the NIHIP management
Yes.
as compared to the hub management. So if you, it
The
would be,
middleman.
yeah, we call it overhead leverage. You know, you have a pool of people that are trying to manage the co-op versus a pool of people, or a smaller pool, managing our plan hub, right?
Okay.
Through
the
hub.
volume is spread out.
Okay.
All right, any other board member comments, or would somebody care to make a motion one way or the other?
Motion.
Yep.
I move the Board of Education of Community Consolidated District, School District 64, Park Ridge, Niles, Illinois, adopt the medical, dental, and life insurance rates as presented by NIHIP for 2011-2012 school year per the attached documents.
Okay, moved by Mr. Collins, is there a second?
Second.
Jinx.
Seconded by Dr. Borelli. Any further discussion? Sharon, for reference for voting purposes, we know you're there, and we'll call on you last, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, we'll proceed to a vote, and we'll start with Dr. Borelli.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Sharon?
Aye.
Okay, motion is approved. Okay, next item on our agenda is an update on the architect evaluation for field and carpenter schools, and I'll turn first to Dr. Benedict.
Thank you, Mr. Hyde. This time we would like to ask the architectural representatives from Fanning County to come forward. They will introduce themselves, and then they will be going through their initial assessment of carpenter and field, along with Emerson and Jefferson as part of the facility master plan. Ladies.
Charlie Johnsos. I'm Carrie Van Sant. We're both architects with Fanning County. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to discuss facilities and our assessment and findings tonight. What I'd like to do to start off with is, I know there's been some kind of, it's been unclear exactly what our goal here to develop this facility master plan is. And so throughout this process, I'd like to kind of address some specifics that we really want to hit on while we're working with the community and the district and the board to go through this planning process. First of all, we like to look at the facility master plan as sort of a blueprint or a roadmap to a path not only for maintenance but also for right-sizing your educational facilities. Maintenance is pretty self-explanatory. Yes, we'll look at your existing facilities, we'll do physical assessments, and we'll, at the end of the day, we'll give you a physical adequacy summary, which is somewhat what we're doing at this time, and then give you an item, list of maintenance items for possible repair. But we look at that throughout the whole scheme of what the facility master plan is and what the board facility goals are once they're determined. Also, the second part of that is right sizing, and that is more a dynamic element with facility master planning. It's looking at the classrooms and the teaching stations, the students per teaching station, the enrollment in the future, and really making sure that your facilities are going to accommodate the students the way you need it, but not only looking at those classroom sizes and square footage sizes, but also making sure you have the particular types of spaces you need to facilitate classroom activities, the positions of the spaces, and how they're adjacent to each other, and then also attributes of each space and certain qualities of each space. So as we go through this facility master planning process, we will develop with the district and the administration, will develop education specifications, that the district can use to define their physical spaces, and then use that to deliver a 21st century educational curriculum that the board and the district would like. At the end of this process, we want to use this blueprint to work with the board and determine priorities for projects as we go out through, to make sure when we're looking at the master plan as a whole that we are looking at things not in the now, but that although issues may arise now, we want to look at those in concert of the grand scheme of things, so that we're not just utilizing a Band-Aid approach on an issue that might be brought to light. So with that kind of in mind, we turn to the attachment that was in tonight's agenda. I'd like to kind of just walk through what we have done at this point. In July and August, we've done numerous physical assessments of 4 of the schools. They were Carpenter Elementary, Field Elementary, Emerson Middle School, and Jefferson School. The facilities were looked at on a broad spectrum of items, but also a main focus on mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems. And then specifically, as we had highlighted in the timeline that was given out previously, I believe in July, the stress crack at Theodore Roosevelt Elementary School has been assessed and our findings have been sent to the district. We've also reviewed the district specifications for a lighting upgrade and gave comments and our concerns and areas that you could possibly improve upon to make sure you're getting the best quality proposals back. Also, we are currently working on, and tonight we actually held a committee with the Site Improvements Committee at Carpenter to look at the drainage and program issues there. And then we've also, which is not indicated on here, we've also done a roof assessment of Franklin Elementary, and our findings will be delivered to the administration and the board. And we are also looking at the drainage and site issues at Jefferson and Emerson School. So to touch on the specific mechanical, electrical, plumbing items at the 4 schools, Field and Carpenter, to start off with, our findings are basically, to highlight it, it's what you've been hearing. The boilers are in fair condition, and but they are at the end of their service life.